Well, here we are. I feel like I'm in the minority here, especially since there's been a lot of hate brought towards this film. And I know what you're thinking. This isn't generally my usual MO in terms of videos. Like, I usually stick to music. I usually stick to specifically progressive rock music. So, what am I doing on here talking about Cats? Well, over the Christmas holidays, I saw Cats, and I don't know if you have seen my live streams, but I was pretty stoked about this film. All of the lead-ups that I had to this movie, in terms of like promotion, it just whet my appetite for something so purely train wreck. And all of the reviews that I watched going into this just satisfied me more and more and more. I was just like, yes, this is going to be brilliant. This is going to be my jam. Now, a little bit of history with me and Cats. Cats is one of the very few Andrew Lloyd Webber works that I'm not familiar with, which is odd. Like, Phantom is probably my favorite of all musicals ever. I love Jesus Christ Superstar. And the other ones that I've heard are kind of touch and go. Like, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat is okay. Evita is fine. And you know your boy loves Love Never Dies. Like, you know this. So, when I came into Cats, I had not heard really anything from this. And I went in pretty much blind outside of, again, what I had seen within the movie lead-up. So, when I came in and I saw Cats the movie, I friggin' fell in love. I loved this movie. I loved it so much. And when I walked out, I was so confused as to why people didn't like it. So I'm here to kind of give my own take. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the criticisms that this film has brought forward and why it didn't really affect me. And I think the most prominent one is the CGI and the character designs and the abominations that we found within the actual cats themselves. And this never bothered me. It never really bothered me. There were a few times, specifically McCavity, that it was just like, ooh, and it's really, like, specifically with McCavity, it's mainly just because we had seen him in an overcoat the entire time, and then he comes out on stage, or I guess on screen, and he's not wearing the coat, and he just looks naked. He just looks straight up naked. I mean, Idris, love you, man. You are a specimen of the human form. It's a little jarring. And maybe it's because the skin tone matches the fur color, and it's one of the few that actually do that. Maybe it's also because I've always really enjoyed the macabre. I've really enjoyed the bizarre. I've always loved strange things. Like, there was a Jim Henson production known as Mirror Mask that Neil Gaiman helped write, and they have like these cat figures with like human faces on, and I love those designs. I'm just like, that is so weird and bizarre, and yes. So yeah, the cat creatures that we have on the film reminded me kind of a mix between those creatures and then the Hermione Granger cat monstrosity from the Chamber of Secrets from Harry Potter. Those never really bothered me. I always feel, I don't know, I feel akin to those kinds of creatures, like the very outsider, unacceptable, and I guess maybe the more people don't accept them, the more that I kind of gravitate towards them, kind of like the creature from The Shape of Water, kind of an idea. And the CGI actually looked really good at times, in terms of like the actual fur and whatnot. Would the production of the movie look better if they were all in costumes? Probably. I'm not going to lie on that one. I think it would have really been a little bit more of an advantageous if they had gone the Broadway route and did makeup and costumes, because that was one of the things that the Broadway production really shined, was the characters and the makeup and the costumes and how they were able to move and all those things. And that kind of leads me to another thing that I loved about this film. Even though it was all CGI, you can still see everybody's movements. You know, you can still see all their choreography, and it's very, like, even though it's CGI skin, you still can tell that these are actual people doing the things. Now, the other thing that people keep bringing about with this movie that they don't like is that there's no plot. And I never had a problem following the story. You know, I do know that the plot is pretty thin in that, you know, the cats are coming towards this Jellicle ball, and Deuteronomy is going to choose the cat which will ascend to their next life. So in that sense, the plot is there. Like, I don't know why people say that this doesn't have a plot. It does have a plot. And so all these cats are vying and competing for Old Deuteronomy's pick by doing their heart song and dance. The movie itself actually introduces quite a number of plot threads. So again, people saying that this movie doesn't have a plot, well, it has the main plot, but then it also has subplots, like McCavity is kidnapping all of these hopeful contendants so that he wins by default. And, there's this little bit of a love triangle between Victoria, the audience cat, as I like to call her, but it's the cat that's introduced to this world, and people are telling her what's going on as the audience surrogate. So it's between Victoria, between Mephistopheles, who is the diehard romantic, and he actually says romanticizing cats, and he's got the little heart thing that's going on, and then the narrator cat, which I can never remember his name. He's one of the only cats that doesn't have a song, and yet he has one of the most screen times. But he's the one that's kind of introducing a lot of the cats as well. He's coming in, he's all suave, and he's dancing with her and showing off. He's got like that little prim and proper, and he's already realized himself. And on top of that, I love the fact that Mephistopheles has this character arc where he starts and he's like very timid and very shy. It's obvious that he likes Victoria. He's almost got to come to his own by the end when he's rescuing old Deuteronomy with his magic, and he's like, I can't do it. This is all like parlor tricks. I'm not actually all that magical. And his song, instead of being like this, again, hype up song within the original stage production, this is more of like him coming to his own of like, no, I can actually do this. I don't know if I can do this, right? And like, it's all these people that are singing to him to remind him, you got this, man. So when he finally does bring back old Deuteronomy, it is more of a self-actualization. So you still have like this major character arc with Mephistopheles. And so it's almost like, if you're looking at it from a character point, who's got the arc? Well, it's Mephistopheles that has the character arc. He's at a different position than what he started at. And I mean, you still also have Grisabella's character arc. She's the glamour cat that fell, and she's the one that gets blah. She's the one that ascends as well. Also spoilers at this point, I guess I should mention. And even Victoria has her own arc where she was abandoned and left, and then she finds her own family. So like, to say that there's no plot, I think you're not looking deep enough. I don't think you're actually getting what the show's all about. Like, I think we've been trained so heavily to be spoon-fed a plot of a film that when a show such as Cats comes around that has a subtle plot, and like, they still spoon-feed you. It's right in the exposition where, the narrator cat basically comes out and says, yeah, old Deuteronomy is going to choose the cat that sings the best songs, and they will ascend. Bam! Right away, plot. And then all these strings that kind of flow through. And a lot of these strings weren't in the original production. So in terms of a movie, it actually fulfills a lot of the things in terms of the transition from stage show to movie. And I mean, the actual thesis and point of the film is that there's just a whole bunch of cats. What else do you need? Okay, so those were like the main things that people kept saying over and over again, that they didn't like this. And I'm like, well, never really bothered me because I could see what they were going for, and I think they succeeded. Now, the thing that I loved, and one of the main reasons why I fell in love with this, was the music. Oh my god, the music is so brilliant. Now, as I mentioned, I had never seen or heard Cats before this point, so when I came in and I started listening to the music of this, I was swept away. And I love the fact that they didn't update the music, because a lot of performances and a lot of these new movies, especially this year, or I guess 2019, they want to modernize the music. And when they modernize music like this, it becomes very dated very quick. Within this one, they kept all of those like early 80s synthesizers that Andrew Lloyd Webber was playing with within this show. They kept a lot of those songs. Outside of maybe one or two moments here or there, like introducing these hip-hop dancers, and that was mainly a visual thing, they didn't do a whole lot to modernize the film, which I think was a very, very smart move, because in 10, 20, and 30 years from now, it's not going to feel as dated as I fear these other films will. And it made the show much more unique. It kept that main identity of Cats, which I have subsequently gone and listened to, like the original sound recordings. I purchased the Broadway show that they did on the VHS and the DVDs. I also really, really love the score. There are a number of points, especially within the Jellicle Ball, that reminds me of like a Stravinsky moment where there's a lot of that chaos. There's really fun rhythm sections within it. It feels very tribal in that sense, and it builds to these great crescendos, and it was very progressive rock in that sense. So maybe that's why I really, really love it, because they had a lot of those really meaty buildups. They had a lot of those really great crescendos. And I love how it goes from this really weird and offsetting feeling of like what is going on, and it's tightening those coils until it finally releases into this grand escapade of these sounds. And I also love the individual tracks of the cats themselves. I love how bouncy, I love how fun, I love how excitable these tracks are, and I also love how heart-wrenching a lot of these tracks are as well. Like Gus, the theater cat song. This old cat is reflecting on his life and the highs and lows, and it's very subtle and it's very intimate. And I love how it all kind of comes together in the end. I'm not sure if I like the fact that Ian McKellen is singing the entire thing, and it's not kind of a duet between the individual that's presenting Gus and Gus himself within, say, the stage performance of that. But I still enjoy that. And Memories. So I love Memories, but it just sticks out a little bit. And even though I love the track, it does stick out in terms of all these really, really fun bopping songs. So Memories is kind of, as I call it, the sore thumb track. Even though I love it, it doesn't really quite fit the rest of the show. Even though it does in terms of Grisabella's arc and her song. And how different it is from everybody else's, and maybe that's why she got chosen at the end. So yeah, is there anything else I want to talk about in terms of defending Cats? There are a few things that I didn't quite like. James Corden playing Bustopher Jones I felt was a good pick, but some of his antics on screen didn't quite work. And Bustopher Jones is supposed to be this big, lively, almost opera singer, and James Corden is a musical theater performer, not a operatic singer. So there was a number of moments that I love with Bustopher Jones' songs within the stage production that I felt just undercut and didn't quite work. Same kind of goes with Judi Dench playing Old Deuteronomy. I do like the casting choice, and I do love the legacy that she brings and the legacy of this Old Deuteronomy character. I feel like they chose wisely, but again, Old Deuteronomy is a opera singer. His moments are big and and Judi Dench, even though she's brilliant and I love her singing style, is much more of an intimate, smaller performance. And maybe they were going for that, and it does kind of work within the movie, but I don't know. Anyway, that's a lot. And yeah, so love this movie. Love this movie. Don't understand. Well, I'm starting to see why people don't like this, but I don't know. I guess at the end, people just don't like fun. And that's what I was kind of thinking as I was walking out of this movie, when people were just like, I don't like this movie. This movie's the worst. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. I'm like, it was fun. Do you guys not like fun? I don't know. I guess people want their grim, their dark, their realistic, their gritty movies. And I'm just like, I want fun. Give me fun. So, yeah, that's about it. That's my defense about Cats. I know people aren't going to agree with me, but that's cool. I mean, different strokes for different folks, right? Like, if we all like the same thing, it'd be a pretty boring place. That's about it. That's all I'm going to talk about for Cats right now. I'm sure I'll be talking more in the future, but yeah, this has already gone on way too long, and that's basically my big thoughts about that. What did you guys think? Have you seen Cats? Because I know a lot of people haven't, but if you have, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know of your own thoughts about that, as well as the music of this performance, which I friggin' love, by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.